This Moments with Mo special was recorded at the Wheatbreaker Hotel in Ikoyi, Lagos.
Babajide Sanwo-Olu is a politician from Lagos State who contended and won the governorship primaries under the All Progressives Congress Party in October 2018. This is a Moments with Mo special. I am Mo Abudu. My guest is a trained surveyor with experience across both the private and public sectors. Most importantly, he's running for the position of the #1 citizen of Lagos State. Welcome to Moments with Mo. And you are welcome to this very special episode of Moments with Mo.
Thank you.
They're very special because they're few and far between these days. I hardly do these interviews anymore.
You know, I heard off the camera behind you saying that you're doing this in almost 2 years.
Yes, I haven't done a Moments with Mo special.
I think it's an honor pulling out of early retirement or just getting a lot of other things.
No, we're just getting started on a lot of other things. A lot of other things in the pipeline.
You've got so much energy. Right?
I mean,
I'm
an adrenaline junkie.
Well,
so it keeps me going, keeps me fit.
Well, what I found myself into now, I certainly am becoming a junkie myself. Just dress up in the morning and just get going.
Yes, absolutely. It's good to have you with us. It's good. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I'd like you to just introduce yourself to our audiences. You know, we basically, our channel's focus is a very young demographic of people. You know, that millennial, they're very sort of excited about what's going on in the country, what's to come. It would be nice for you to just tell them about who you are.
Thank you very much.
In your own words.
Thank you very much. But essentially, my name is Babajide Sanwo-Olu. You know, when I was a bit younger, I usually get pranky with the name Sanwo-Olu, which literally means pay Olu's money in Yoruba, but it's Babajide. I'm 53 years old. Well, I hope I look younger, you know.
He does.
You know, so just to, if it's going to take 53 years to truly, really define or describe the entire thing, but if we just fast track it, you know, leaving from the University of Lagos about 30 years ago, I studied surveying out of Faculty of Engineering, you know, and I've had the unique opportunity in the last 30 years to have had 17 years or so in the private sector and about 11, 12 years in the public sector. Meaning I started work as a seismic data surveyor. We were in the 3D crew, which was the biggest 3D crew in Shell in Dodo River. That's the real Niger Delta there, you know, and I traversed, you know, the whole of Niger Delta. I've worked there. Interestingly, the whole of Lake Chad, which is, we're not so happy with what is happening with Boko Haram, but I've worked there. I've lived in Lake Chad area. I've worked in Kukawa. I've worked in Monguno, which is the farthest part of Nigeria in Borno. You know, so I did the job for like 3 years. You know, we're doing 6 weeks on, 3 weeks off, 6 weeks on, 3. It's really very, very interesting. You know, we tend to, you know, given money to go chopping on aero contracts. We never do aero contracts. We do bended line. 15 naira, but we get 750 naira. It was a very interesting job. Total take home about 1,600. But
in those days, I'm sure that went a long way.
I was earning a lot more money than my banker friends there. You know. And
but you were taking a lot more risk.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're taking a lot more risk.
That's what Nigerians, you know, that's our real economy then. You know, but going forward, you talk about millennials. Actually, I've done a startup. You know, I left them and I couldn't really say to myself, I'll be doing it for another 5, 10 years. So I went into a startup with 2 of my friends. We set up a company called Dial Plumber.
Dial Plumber, yes,
I've heard of the name.
Yes,
I was one that set it up.
Yes.
But you know, interestingly, as energetic as we were, within last month and 9 months, the reason being that we lost focus. Because the critical success for that business was telephone. And in 1989, 1990.
So the technology wasn't there.
There were no telephone lines. We had 3 lines that were not working. So you know when.
So you were battling with Nitel.
Absolutely. So we were meant to call plumbers, call tilers, call carpenters. You know, with their dungarees. And the other thing is we're putting more money in marketers rather than in the plumbers and carpenters themselves.
So we really didn't. So lots of lessons learned, really. So you'd be saying to our young millennials today, setting up a business now, to learn from that. I mean, the technology is there to drive.
For them now.
Yes.
You know, you need to know what are your critical success, what are the things that is important to
make that business
and
successful.
stay with it.
Yeah.
So moving on, I found myself in finance, right? So first I worked with a company, we set up 1 or 2 banks. I don't want to go into full details. So I found myself with core banking. So I've worked in 3 banks, Lead Merchant Bank, well, they've moved on. You know, at some point when we started, about 126 banks were in Nigeria.
Yes, absolutely.
Now we have less than 25.
Thank God for the regulation that's come into play.
And you know, so it was a bit bumpy for us then. So I moved in, I was treasurer there, you know, very quickly. You know, because I had had my own fair share of business failure, learning ropes, I stood to the work very, very well, very well.
And decided that,
the rope.
Let me do this 9 to 5
do it
for a while.
No, I was actually doing it till 10, 11. Wow. You know, I stayed back at night, you know, to be sure that I learned the ropes, and I was moving from engineering to finance. You know,
but as a banker?
Wow. So in banking, I was a treasurer. So I started doing ICANN just to get the proficiency. And so I also worked in UBA. I was head of foreign money market in UBA, right? And we call ourselves the high flyers then. It was when the new era around buying the old banks and putting new people there. Into them. A lot of people, Sanusi, and Akabwe, all of the big boys were all colleagues then. And, you know, so from there, we also set up a company, a bank. We bought up a bank called Comment Merchant Bank. We turned out to be First and Lati, which is now part of FCMB Group. So I was also divisional head. I was a general manager. So moving on, in 2002, I left the bank. Right, I was now appointed a special advisor. First to the deputy governor was Mr. Femi Pedro, then to the governor was Ashiwaju. In 2000, I dare say that I was one of the youngest, you know, cabinet members there. From day one, I was in the cabinet. So special advisor to the governor, I was able to travel everywhere. So
basically, you've, as we've said earlier, you've done the private sector.
Absolutely.
You've done the public sector.
Absolutely.
You've served Lagos State.
Absolutely.
And now
3-time commissioners: commissioner for establishment, training and pension. The last one, commissioner for commerce and industry, commissioner for budget and planning. So
again, you've done, you've seen different, seen how different parts of the industry.
And I've gone back into the private sector again. I was consulting in privatization, consulting in power, consulting in housing, property development, do a lot of CSRs, you know, and went back. So I've been in and out of government.
All this varied experience now, you feel that you're ready to take all of that experience.
I believe not just the experience, knowing it,
and doing it, and working in it.
Hands-on.
And, you know, which takes me to my next question, is your tagline for a greater Lagos.
Yes.
So for a greater Lagos begs the question, what is wrong with the Lagos that we currently have?
You know what the indices are more. I mean, let's begin to talk about, you know, we are part of the mega city. A mega city is any city that is well over 10 million, right? And
we're definitely, we're double that.
Far, yeah.
We're double that and probably going to triple that.
Yeah, it comes with the challenges of waste management, traffic, you know, housing, school, education. It comes with it. It comes with it, but the numbers are there. So you can turn the negative energy into positive energy. Right. And so for us, it's still a work in progress, right? Given where we are in the Community of Nations, Lagos is the 5th largest economy in Africa now. But, you know, how well do we have the poor woman in Alimosho? How well do they feel?
So would you say that part of that, you know,
Turning Lagos greater.
For a greater Lagos, part of it is the poverty trap. Would you say that that's a major?
That's part of it. You know, in the famous triangle, you know that's what we're taught in banking and in business school. The bottom of the pyramid, which is the poorest of the poor, we need to take them out of poverty.
Right. So and for you, a major priority is going to be getting people out of that poverty trap.
I will attempt to do that very greatly, but I would also attempt to give credence to the private sector. Because you know what, the private sector, when they do well, they will employ more people. They will take further risk on us. And they will do more investment into it. And so when
it's
they
really
do
about supporting the private sector so
giving
that they can help take people out of the poverty trap.
You're right. And ensure that all the things they produce go right down to the poverty. We can take care of health, education, and make sure that we take our people, we give them that
the basics
tomorrow.
Are there. That
tomorrow, so that make believe, you know, to see themselves as not hopeless, but having a lot of hope, you know, and a place where it becomes a destination for everybody,
for everybody and for many things.
Absolutely.
Moving on quickly, let's talk about continuity. What are your views on continuity? Because any government really is only there for 4 years and possibly another 4.
Yeah.
So whatever projects have been started in the previous administration, what are you likely to do with those projects if you were to be elected the new governor?
Thank you very much. You know, governance in itself, it's a continuum. I'm going to take over, like we do in business, your assets and your liability, right? your good sides and your not so very good sides. That's what you read.
That's what you've inherited.
Take over, yeah.
Yes.
Right. And so one of the things you should do is never throw away the baby and the bathwater. Right. So it is important and it's essential for me to re-emphasize that continuity will be part of the game. Right. To ensure that all of the good things the current administration is doing, we will continue to do it. And by the way,
how do you define what is good?
No, while you can see what is the greatest good for the greatest number, right? Okay. How impactful are those policies, are those interventions? So there will be
indices, hopefully, that guide all of those.
And I understand
projects.
the sanctity of also contract. I understand that for you to let the private sector get comfortable with you, right? Contracts that has been signed or that has been, you will continue them. You will obviously,
because
it makes a lot of sense. So that to the outside world, right, you don't give that negative signal.
Yes.
But you know, one of the things we also go to do differently, we do it quicker and faster. We will not waste people's time.
Because everybody seems to feel that state or federal, everything is just so slow and so sluggish.
And so that's part of the energy that we bring in, because we know them.
So you promise us energy?
Absolutely more. I mean, because I know them. It's not just a promise. It's the access that I have. It's the relationship that I've built. It's the friends that I've known. So it is.
And the fact that you have worked in the private sector,
that's what
you
I'm
think
saying.
That's going to come to play now?
It's certainly those are the learning skills that you're bringing to bear. Those are the foundations that you have created that you're bringing to the table, right? And so you also know them in the public sector because you have also been. I know the kitchen. We know where everything is, and I understand what the financial regulations. I understand what the procurement issues are. I understand what are the
take all of that
service,
in and make sure that.
And so I can say to a permanent secretary straight on, these are the deliverables, let's go fix it.
Let's do it.
And I can also manage my private sector friend to say that these are the things we need from you for us to. So I'm not learning.
We're not done. We're not done. We're going to come right back
Thank you.
After this break. So don't go anywhere.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the show, and you are watching a very special episode of Moments with Mo with my special guest, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the governorship candidate for Lagos State under the APC platform. Thank you for staying tuned. It's good to have you back with us after that heated first round. I know you're very excited about what you talk about, so you're kind of like really gingered up, and you can't wait to get it all out. I know.
Well, I mean, it's also a function of what you've got here. There's a whole lot of energy around you here as well.
Thank you.
So I mean, I want to commend all of the good things you guys are doing.
We're trying. No, we have a really great team, and I really, we've been at this for a few years now. So, and it's good to be back in this seat. Because I think I should do this more often. They keep telling me, but I'm like,
I believe. Look for the likes of me.
Yes, exactly. Then the interviews would just flow. Yes. So I want to talk about your pillars of priority. Yeah. I know recently you invited me to a breakfast seminar, which you invited a lot of other stakeholders to, and you spoke about these pillars of priority there. And the one that really jumped out at me was about creating this enabling business environment, because that's what we all need to thrive in. Yeah. That's what we need as an entertainment sector, the banking sector, the legal sector, whatever sector, we all need that enabling environment. So how do you, it's become a bit of a cliche to say enabling environment. How do we take it away from being cliche and make it a reality?
Thank you.
Break it down for us.
Thank you. When we talk of enabling environment, what are the critical things the private sector wants, right? You want infrastructure development. You want access to your business, which is infrastructure. You want security of your property, of your premises, of your staff, day and night, with your two eyes closed, right? You want power, which is critical to your business model, right? You want effective and efficient transportation system. Those are some of the enabling environment that will make your business thrive. Because when you have access, right, to power that is not going to go off and on, when you have access to infrastructure that can move you from one place to another, when you have security, so important. Those are some of the indices that foreign investors, international investors look out for, that this place is safe for business, is proper for business, they will come. Finally, there's some things that are localized and there's some things that are federal, right? Issues around registration of businesses and all of it, it's federal. But the ones that concerns us, right, are issues around title, are issues around processes when you come to Alausa.
What do you do when you find that there's a stumbling block between state and federal? Because in a lot of instances, you know, it's been said, the excuse has been made, oh, it's federal, I can't fix it. It's federal, I can't do anything about it. How do we, because those things are operating in this state.
You're right.
How do we find that there's better alignment?
Well, I mean, you are very right. And it's part of the conversations we need to have and have them very quickly as a nation. It's about reorganization and repositioning, restructuring this country. The whole lot of things, in my view, honest view for that matter, right, are too concentrated with the federal, and they need to unbundle it and make it stay. I know there are a lot of constitutional issues, so they'll make it as if it's no, but even operationally, processes-wise, there are a lot of powers that can be given to a lot of states, which will make, you know, communication and ease of doing these things a lot easier.
So what would you do? Would you, obviously, you would engage?
I will open up conversations very well. I mean, now we have the same party. You know, for 16 years, Lagos State have always been in opposition. And I tell you one simple example, right? For 7 years in the former administration, in the PDP government, we're trying to get a right of way for the red line, for a rail corridor. We wanted to build, we're building the blue line, right? But for the red corridor has an existing corridor, which is the famous Ebute-Metta to Agege. It's an existing corridor. We just wanted to change the standard gauge there, right, and put another gauge, another
so
rail line
for 7 years,
but there were not just communication.
So you therefore have to think about the fact that, let's say, for example, you do become the next governor.
Yes.
And fine, if the current administration does stay, there may be better alignment.
I believe.
But what happens if, for any reason, it's not that?
Well,
what would you then?
It's also the means of engagement. It's also for them understand, and that's why we need to make the call early. You know, it's also the way we engage them, for them to see that this is the greatest good for the greatest number, and make sure that we have access to the private sector, hold hand in hand, right, and we can face.
It's a real challenge, though, isn't it? Because the thing is that
it is actually.
You know, you may have the best will in the world, but
if
they're not ready to come to the party, then it becomes difficult for you to achieve your goals.
We will make a whole lot of noise about it, right? We will make it, but we will be collaborative. You know, we will ensure that we engage them. You know, we will not stop at it, you know, letting them realize that I appreciate that our people require this now, not yesterday, right? And populating, you know, government never knows how to communicate. You know,
communication is key.
You are in the business of communication.
I say it all the time.
So we need to know how to communicate and communicate effectively. It has to be two-way.
Absolutely.
And people must, I mean, we're in government to govern people.
So you must communicate with the people.
Absolutely. And so if any of our arms are not doing well, take them to the people's court. Make a lot of noise about it.
Communicate. Let people know.
And let them, if you have problems, speak out early.
I mean, that's what, that is what happens all over the world.
That way, that way we'll be able to.
Then they would then have to come out and give the reasons as to why they're blocking certain things.
So we'll remove all the red tapes. Let's remove them and let's put governance to where it should be properly.
Absolutely. You know? And that takes me on to my last question. I want to talk about education and technology, which is the second pillar, another major pillar for us, because education is massive.
It is.
You know, technology we know is what is driving the world today. I mean, if we look at the top 5 companies in any rating anywhere in the world, they are all technology companies.
You know, so you can't be any better correct. But take it back. 10 years ago, the top 10 companies in the world were all energy companies. Now, fast track, the top 10 companies, 7 of them or 8 are tech companies.
Tech companies,
I'm going to be heavy on technology.
Fantastic. So you're going to be a tech government.
We are going to be a tech. And we've been going around. We went to all the Vibranium, to this tech zone. We've looked at the workstation. All of the great guys that are doing a lot of new innovative things. You know, we've got over 500 tech startup companies, young people in the country. We need to engage them.
Absolutely.
We need for them to bring us
and let it work for solutions. The state.
Solutions that we can put in governance, that we can remove a 14 steps to 6 to 7.
I'm telling
So
you.
that people can get service quicker and faster. And not just technology by mouth. Even as I'm in the campaign trail, you know more that I'm doing free Wi-Fi. Sanwo free Wi-Fi. Yes, we've launched.
So can I tap into this?
Yes,
you
can.
Everywhere, or is it in certain zones?
It's not in the whole of Lagos. But in all the tertiary institutions we're building it. I'm sure it's gone live in Lasso, in Laspotech. It should be in Unila.
All the universities, you guys can tap in and get some free Wi-Fi, which they love.
Yeah, go to Ikeja Mall, go to Surulere Mall. We're pushing also in the mall in Lekki as well. Free, it's not for free. What I mean is, it's not just a joke. We want them to have access to whatever anybody has in New York, in New Jersey, in Bombay. They here, our own kids here must have it. And you know, there are lots of people doing great things. We have people teaching
Absolutely.
12, 10-year-old,
I mean,
how to do
I have been
coding.
to some of those hubs, and
So
I am
it's
just
incredible. So we need to, as
I
government.
mean, our generation are not even.
No,
I
we're
mean,
not
we're trying,
yeah,
but
we're not.
I mean, I'm even still limited in the things that I can do on my phone. But when I look at that generation,
so we
see
need
that
to
watch
help
our
them.
channel.
We need to monitor them.
Yep.
Right? He could have his own vices. He could have a bit of the negative support. We need to push this positive out of it.
And how they can also use it to monetize and grow their businesses, as you've said, is absolutely
It
key.
is important. And we'll be going around, providing a lot of tech hubs, a lot of incubator centers, a lot of startup companies.
How are you going to fund all of this?
Well, I mean, that's where I need the private sector on my side. That's why I've said that it's an inclusive government. It's a government that I will listen a lot more to the private sector because they're the ones that can drive. They need to take further risk on me, and they will take those further risks if they're sure of what my process, if my plan.
Especially if you provide them with an enabling environment, so that they can make their they can make more revenue, so that they can obviously give back. Because it's really a catch-22 situation. If you're not providing the enabling environment, there's nothing you can take from us, from any of us in the private sector.
And in fact, if you're also not given to them that access, that conversation they need to be able to feel you. They need to understand how you're planning in these various areas. And if they know it, then they can take further risk and know that, okay, so these are the things. And they see, not just by word of mouth.
Yes, but they must see.
They must see.
We will get onto that in my next segment. But I wanted to quickly talk about education. We spoke more about technology, but let's just talk a little bit about education.
It's a flip side of it, because it is interwoven, but it's critical for us, right? Education is something that it's there to all of us. Parents take different decisions on education. But like I said, the below of the pyramid, the poorest of the poor that are the endangered one, I have a responsibility to make sure that they have access to quality education. So we need to fix the schools. We need to ensure that we retrain the teachers, right? We need to look at the facilities in those schools, and we need to look at the enrollment and ensure that we keep them in school.
So what percentage of your budget is going to go into education?
Well, I mean, we've been testing numbers, right? I'm a numbers person, but I just don't throw it, casually. What the United Nations, and UNESCO recommend is between 8 to 10%, right? So we will also be guiding ourselves in that range.
But based on the size of Lagos, do you think it
will be sufficient?
Think it will be sufficient?
We need to be a bit more creative about how we also fund education. So people have also brought a few proposals to me. I don't need to share it now because it's still work in progress. But we need to be a bit more smarter and getting a lot more funding into education. And I give you another simple example, right? Primary school, which is usually the first graders and all of it, we don't have enough numbers. In some developed countries, right, it's a function of how close to your house you have a primary school, but we don't have that. So that's why we have close to 20,000 private nursery schools.
So basically, you're saying that there need to be more local primary schools
all around. And even if we cannot quickly develop that, what stops us from partnering with some of the
existing schools
and let's monitor them, let's see what are the curriculum and put them to use. If it is to put money and make sure that we put our kids there and ensure that they get quality service, we will do that. Instead of
you're going. What I'm picking up is that you want to be as creative as possible.
We have to be innovative,
engaging the private sector, and making sure that you are running an inclusive government.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. We are going to be right back after this break.
Thank you.
You're still watching a very special episode of Moments with Mo, and still with me is BOS, as fondly called by many. Now we're going to talk about some other priority sectors. You're welcome back. Thank you for still being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I can see that you're still fired up.
Well, I mean, it's a journey.
Yes,
it's not a destiny. So we need to pace it and ensure that.
So we've talked about technology, we've talked about education, we've talked about an enabling environment, we've talked about an inclusive government. Now let's talk about some other really important things, like healthcare, like the environment. I know these are part of your priority pillars.
Yeah.
They are big, they are massive priorities. What is your take on how you're going to ensure that we have a healthcare system that really attends to the needs of this state and the people that really require it?
Thank you. I was privileged just a couple of days back to have been invited by the current governor body, and they just launched the Lagos State health insurance scheme. I think it's the first time in, like, we've been trying to launch it for like 10, 15 years now, just trying to get all of the variables together. I'm aware 1 or 2 states have started, but how well they're doing, I don't know. But it's critical, given what I heard there, that if Lagos should get it well, then it becomes a template that other parts of the country can use well. So I immediately have become an advocate, of that.
But that's good to see continuity, isn't it?
Absolutely. I actually gave those commitments, and will fund whatever is required of that, because health, they keep saying is well, but we truly just don't mouth it. Let's action it. Let's put it there. Whatever numbers in terms of budgetary envelope that is required, our people, they are graded assets. We don't have any other alternative. So let's ensure that we keep life, secret sanctity.
So what is the basis? Tell us a little bit about
how it's going to work. The health
Lagos,
what is how it's going to work is that it's going to be totally inclusive. We're going to get people sign on, right? The poorest of the poor, the middle level, everybody sign on into the. I actually had a card, So you're on the health insurance card. You pay a premium monthly, quarterly, or yearly, depending on whatever you want. But more importantly, you will take based on the the number of private hospitals that will be participating. Maybe they will improve, they will increase by the day. But the ones that are there now, and also all of the public hospitals, you will look at the ones I think that is closest to your residents, right? And you'll be able to say, okay, these are the hospitals that I want to go to
because you're part of the scheme and you've paid your premiums.
Absolutely. So you don't, when you have a small nail cut or you have a headache, you don't need to rush to Lasut from Ajangbadi or from Etiosa or from Ikuru. You don't need to rush to the farthest, tertiary health.
So what happens to those that can't afford to pay those premiums?
Well, yes, I think in the scheme, right, there is what they call the budget for the mostly vulnerable. It is the determination of who is the most vulnerable that I know will be the detailed work that the government needs to do, right? The poorest.
So
of
they
the poor.
will get some sort of registration as well.
They will get, but they will get some sort of rebate, or they will get some sort of, a subsidy or some sort of exemption, but they will be included. So that poorest of the poor, how they will do that enumeration is, I don't know the details now, but we'll get to know it.
But it's something that you're working on.
It's something that we're working on.
What I love about what you've said is the fact is that this has been introduced by your predecessor, and you're saying even before you become the governor that if you do become the governor, that you are going to take that on. And I think that's really,
because we even have a lot of multilateral agencies who will be partnering with the government, and they want to see these things grow
implemented,
and that's what our people require. That's really, so we cannot afford to get it. It will have its own teething problem, I know, like any other new thing. But I want to say to the operators to stay the course. Let us remain focused. They might have issues around, reconciliation, around, getting your pay, because the private sector will be paid, the private hospitals, they'll be paid maybe on a monthly basis or quarter, I don't know the details, but they need to be paid.
But all of that must be fleshed out. And it's something that you obviously
I'll be heavy on it because it's critical and it's important. That's why we need to be sure that
our people must be healthy. Health is wealth, as you've said.
And so I'm using also your platform, and also let's begin to populate it out there, for people to know that it's
people need to know that it's even available, that it's out there.
They need to begin to register.
So but you said earlier about communication. It's important that a scheme like this is widely publicized and communicated. And sometimes what I find in government is that they say that, we've done all these incredible things, and people never know, because a lot of the time they're talking to themselves in the same rooms with the people that they've made the policies with, and we don't know.
We will try.
So communication is important, so that all these people that need this healthcare know that it's available to them,
and in the places in which
in the various languages that our people
and I think the other thing, which is the environment, very quickly, is when you look at environment, waste management is critical.
Well, there's been a big hoo-ha about the environment.
So drainages, flooding, slum upgrade, all that is an environment, right? But waste management, and I did mention to you more, it has to start from your kitchen. It has to start from waste. So it's a waste management. Sorting, waste management is like power. It has from generation to distribution, to collection, and to management. So when it starts from your kitchen, your very lovely kitchen, right? And you're able to put bottles inside bottle bag, plastic inside plastic bag,
paper in paper,
and organic waste, collection becomes a lot easier. Once collection is easier, then whoever is doing waste to wealth, their cost comes down. Because collection takes about 20 to 25%.
And then sorting also takes so much time.
Because you don't need to sort it.
So how do we educate people starting from the kitchen? Is that something the state wants to take on?
It's something I'm going to take on. I mean, how we're going to do it, we're going to do it in a scalable manner.
Okay.
We have to grow it organically. I'm not going to make a blind pronouncement and say everybody in this. No, let's take 1 or 2 local government. Let's take 2, 3 areas as a pilot scheme.
Okay.
And very quickly even give them all the waste that, all the bags that they require, right? And try and also incentivize it. If you comply, what kind of incentive can I even throw back
to the community, possibly?
As against trying to look for sanctions. You know, sanctions is always very derogatory. People never want to do it. But if people know,
and the thing is, how much do we even enforce?
Absolutely.
So it's probably better to incentivize
it. So that's some of the creativity we'll bring to it, right? And give them this thing so that collection will become. And people, there's so many people that want to do.
But how would you run waste management in Lagos? I mean, because you know there have been issues around how it's been run to date.
Well, I mean,
what would you do differently?
Well, I mean, they've mentioned various names that they gave something to, and you know, but we've seen a lot of positive energy coming from the PSP operators who are back on the street now, clearing all of the things.
Okay. So get the communities involved.
Absolutely, but the learning point is that there are good intentions there. So we need to also look at what are the commercials, what happened to that company. You know, was it a case of capacity? Was it a case of budgetary? Was it a case of access? So let's look at it, because they've done some study. So we're not going to throw all that out of the window.
Again, you're back to your continuity.
Absolutely.
And seeing how you can improve.
Very quickly, understanding. So the ones that have been mistaken, let's discard it. The ones that have worked well, let's quickly bring it. And let's wrap up the thing you now need. You need to build up scale.
Yeah.
So if it is 4, 5, 6 people of such magnitude, you need to build up. How do you quickly build it up? And government must be able to put some bit of incentive for them so that they can raise access to finance. What do I mean? If you have an operator, right, who needs to go and borrow money to buy the compactor trucks, to buy all the trailers?
How do you support that?
Once you give them an agreement, right, you should be able to give, you know, like something close to like an ISPO, or show that in their cash flow to a bank that this man will be earning
this amount,
500,000 or whatever on a monthly basis, and if they do their job, you sign an SLA with them, they will continue to do this business. So they can leverage against it, and they can bring about, you know.
Now talking about the environment again,
yes.
How do we make our environment beautiful? I mean, we've all seen the beautiful cities in the world, and you sort of come out of the airport and you sort of see beauty. You come out of Muritala Mohammed Airport and so you are horrified. I'm sorry to say this, but how do we make it a beautiful experience?
It's you and I, and I'll tell you why. See, this conversation, those countries that you've talked about, right, they didn't drop from the moon. They're human beings that did. So it is our culture, it is we, when we take up those initiatives, and now we're going to do it, a lot of advocacy. We take the campaign to our churches, to our mosques, to our community development, and we'll begin to talk about it.
So a lot of what I'm hearing from you is communication.
It's communication.
It's about how do we get into the hearts and minds of everyone for them to have a paradigm shift about how they need to be responsible for their environment.
Let's identify change molders, change ambassadors, people who, as you are passionate about it, let's get 20, 30, 50, 500 of you who are champions on it, and government gives them the enable things for them to do it.
But government also has a role to play, because at the end of the day, if you're coming down any road and you're seeing obstacles and things that shouldn't be there, why are they there?
That's why we need to remove it.
So
that's why we need to give you access to be able to complain and report whatever snag or whatever problems you see. That's why we must ensure that we continue have a channel of communication. You can escalate whatever issues you see. The red tapes, you will know who or where to take those complaints
and then people come and they beg, they've built a house in the wrong place or whatever, they're coming and they're pleading with you. And
you see, that's the thing. These are Nigerians. They didn't drop off the sea. And somebody's always talked about, last month somebody talked about, they are your brothers and my brothers. So it's something we need to appeal to people's consciousness. This, when you go to other jurisdictions, you calm down. When you come here, you just do all sort of wrong things again. What's wrong with us?
Absolutely.
So it's about us. We need to push these things back to our value back at home, back at churches, back at family.
Communication, let's begin to have the conversation. Let's find different ways to have that communication.
Yes.
Now, something that's really important to all Lagosians and even to visitors, transportation and traffic management. You can even see that even the way I'm saying it, even I am like, just thinking about it just makes me tired. So, traffic in Lagos, transportation in Lagos is hectic. As the South Africans say, that word hectic means like, hello, I'm having a nightmare situation right now. How are we going to do? How are you? These are pillars again.
Yeah.
Priority pillars for you.
For me, yes.
How are you going to tackle transportation? How are you going to tackle traffic management?
Okay, it's not something that will go off one day. So let's be clear about that.
Of course not.
It comes with a challenge of a 20 million population, but we need to be smart about it. Right. Last week, I went out. We've rolled off the sleeves to begin to do on my own to begin to do traffic assessment study. I have people working out. Do you know we have over 50-something traffic gridlock spots in Lagos? Each one of them have a unique identity.
So you've identified the problems.
Yeah.
But how do you solve the problems?
Fine, fantastic. You know, some are low-hanging. Some are things we can solve in the first 6 months. Some could be this roundabout. There's some traffic gridlocks that realize that the roundabout is too big.
Okay.
We need to reduce them.
Okay.
Some is bringing about traffic management. Put traffic lights there. And you see people comply. People would stop and wait and they can.
So are you saying there's a solution
for
all the spots that you've identified?
It's still work in progress. I mean, I'm still on a campaign trail, so I just realized them. It's in our process of identifying, so that we're not just lip servicing it. I can actually show you our solution in some of them. We've been to the toll plaza, for example, the 2 toll plazas, right, during the week, last week, and you've seen all of the things. You know, we just opened up the toll plaza for 10 minutes, and by the 7th May, we're actually waiting for people to come, and it was prime time. It was 6:37 in the evening when people were going back home. It wasn't that we went there at 1 o'clock.
Yes, of course. I mean, those gridlocks are going to be there at night. I mean, they're going to be there during the peak.
That's what I'm saying.
Peak hours.
And we open it up for 7 minutes. Just at the 7th minute, the whole thing has disappeared.
So basically, it's the payment. Is it at the point of payment?
That's one of it. We also can look at the financials and see that commercially, could we also come up with ingenuity of there's a time in which you open it for 5 minutes and let it just slip by.
But then for the person that has spent money on operating that business,
you could look at, that's what I'm saying.
You could subsidize, and see how you can.
The benefit of it far outweighs maybe the 1 million you're losing or 2 million you're losing at that time. Finally, we also can look at, you know, when you are going back home, you've seen 12 cubicles being used, but the other 12 cubicles that the other side is empty. Can we open up additional 6 and make this one 18? Right? And it's only
because the traffic is coming this way rather than coming that way.
Absolutely. So this is all kinds of creativity, and that one just needs management. You know, so these are nimble solutions that we can bring about, right? And we're saying it upfront. It's not anybody can come and copy it, but I've gone there. I've seen it. Right? Some could also be that maybe it's one way you pay. So we're checking the numbers. We're doing the traffic study. We're doing the manuals. We're checking. In some other places, it could be that we just need to have an additional lay-by. Somebody's going to turn off on the right, and it just queues up traffic on the road. So can we clear up the setback?
So there are. So what you're saying, from what I'm hearing, is that you are looking at the solutions
individually,
and you are going to identify some of the quick wins. And then obviously those that would take a longer amount of time
to resolve.
But what you're saying is that you're promising us. So if if people go out and vote for you, you're saying that we are going to have less of a traffic problem over time.
But more,
in your time.
In my time. But more, this is also critical. Are people
because you're saying it now.
Yes, I am.
And everybody is listening to you.
Yes, I am. And more, the other thing is, it's also about us. We also need to understand, and I've said this before, that you are not the only road user. You need to also respect and understand that there are other road users. We obey these things when we travel out of this country.
Absolutely. You know, so why come here and now?
So you also have to understand and appreciate that
that part of it comes back to us.
Have quicker. That's the thing.
But then again, it's also because we don't have. Again, it's about using technology. In England, you don't even need to have anybody on the road. Technology, you just get. In your house, you'll get a ticket. So that's and if you don't pay it, the bailiffs are coming in to fetch your stuff in the next...
So you can see, you're taking it out of me. You can actually be the governor because you've seen some of the solutions yourself.
So I'm just saying that
technology is critical,
technology is
heavy.
To all of these things.
It solves some... And the moment people see that it's working, people will comply.
But it's just that because in our society, there are too many important people that try to always get out of some of these situations.
It's also something that technology can help us. Rule of law is critical. You know, you don't make law for certain set of people.
And you publish. Maybe you communication. Maybe start publishing the people that haven't paid their fines.
So for me, if I'm going to publish my telephone line and give my email, if you also don't know, let's put it there. Let's push you in the people's court.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's some of the things. And we can begin to...
I'm liking that because I think basically if you haven't paid your fine for your traffic, publish their names every week. And then let's see how they're going to like that. Because
we cannot continue to mouth this. Let's action them and let's deal with it.
Transportation.
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 No, there's a solution.
All we have in Lagos are cars.
No, well, there's a solution. You see, the interesting thing For you to have an effective mass movement of people, you need to have what we call a tripod kind of transportation: rail, water, and land transportation.
Absolutely.
We're doing only land right now, right? We have attempts to do the waterways, but I'll tell you some of the challenges there. Because I've gone round, I've asked questions. One, we don't have enough jetty terminals, you know, to take traffic. You know, so that when people are coming from the other side, you know, where are they going to berth, right? But the other critical things which a lot of people are not aware is, one of the things we realize that most of them are one-directional traffic. Meaning that when you take people from Ipakodo in Ikorodu and you bring them to Victoria Island or you bring them to Marina, when the return journey, it's always an empty boat or a vessel. It's empty. So what you see is they double the fare. Right. So that, I mean, that's the only way they can, because they're going to still
they're private sector. They have to.
Yeah, but you see, you need to understand that you also help them to do a bit of intervention. Okay. So that it becomes sustainable for them. Right. So part of the intervention is, let's see if we can double the capacity. Right. So we're talking to more bigger boats.
More people taking them one way, even if they're going to come back with nothing.
But bigger
at least
boats,
they're making money.
So that your cost of delivery comes down. Right. And let's build a bit more jetties, you know, and let's also try and encourage movement on that line. But the critical one, which we have also not done, which is work in progress, I was in government when we started, is the rail, right? You know, I think
everybody has attempted rail.
No, we're going to complete it. Our government, we're going to complete. We started the blue line, which is from Okokomaiko right round Orile to National Stadium, and the bridge is coming up out of Marina.
So when do you see us having rail?
I believe that the infrastructure should be finished in another 1 year. Rolling stock should be work in progress. It should work pari passu.
So again, another continuity project for you.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
We started it, and so we should, after the blue line, let's go fix the red line. The red line too, the corridor is there, right? But they just need to improve the rail track. Once they improve the rail track, they have a few places where they need to build what they call intersection junction, and build like a carryover for vehicles so that the rail can go underneath. It becomes, because for a population like this, you need rail movement. You need a means of moving people.
It's just impossible to just have roads.
It cannot be just roads. It can't just be roads.
I mean, you want, from everything that we've discussed today, you want to do a lot of things. My biggest fear, you know, and I've done these interviews year after year, or during my Moments in Mo days, is always going to be about how do you execute them? How do you execute them, and how do you fund them? Because you can have the best will and intention in the world. And I know you want to work a lot with private sector, and I think others will say the same, but how do you really fund?
It's very simple, right? You must be a people's person. You must have the opportunity, the ability to identify skills. You must have the ability to identify real talents, people that have the passion for the industries in which you want to put them. Ensure that you're putting round holes in round pegs. You know, give people authority and responsibility. And if it doesn't work well, be decent enough, be firm enough to say that, you know, it's been nice doing business with you, it's been nice working with you, but at this point in time, you know, we just need to move on. Maybe I didn't identify that there was a recruitment error with you, but you need to be decisive and be firm. And be firm.
And make sure the right people are doing the right jobs.
Doing the right jobs. And you must have a means of feedback. If you get quality feedback, before things go out of hand, you will know.
But how does that help a funding situation?
Well, the funding situation is the private sector everywhere in the world. I'm telling you, it's only when you give them that ease. And they see that
they will take over those sectors.
They will take over those sectors.
Because everything has been privatized in England. I mean, electricity, water, transportation, everything.
So it's the environment that they need to see. Is your commercial entity that they need to see. They need to see that, in truth, you can keep the sanctity of your contract, and they can see that you've given them the processes, the procedure for them to be transparent in their dealing. They will put those risks on the table.
So your focus is going to be fund these projects in partnership with the private sector, because you know you can't.
I have worked with them. I know them. You know what, Mo? Our total budget in a year is less than what the department in the city of New York uses. It's less than what a fire department in New York or Boston or Chicago they use.
So you can't do it yourself. You can't. So don't even begin to. That's not how to respond. That's not the answer. So you know you can't.
So you will need to create those relationships. You need to give them that access. And so you need to ensure that your government is a government that has opened up that access. I've been having a lot of interesting conversations, even while on the campaign trail.
Fantastic. And that's what that leads me to my second to last question. And everybody's rushing me, I know. Yes. On that campaign trail, what has been the one resounding thing that you're picking up? If there was one thing that people want you to do the most for them, What is that one thing?
I'm scared to tell you.
You're scared?
Yes.
Do you want to whisper?
Traffic.
Traffic.
Yes.
Wow. Traffic, everybody. Traffic.
So just ease traffic.
Really?
When you finish the traffic for them, they want power.
Power.
I have held meeting with the two discos in Lagos. We're coming up with a solution.
So traffic and then power.
Power, because people...
Without power. I would have thought power before traffic.
No, because it's critical now, because it's also festive season. People want to move around, so maybe that's why. Maybe in February, maybe it won't be so bad, you know, but in December, because a lot of, you know, people traveling down, people want to move, people want... So it's also... And let's also face it, you know, in December, people will move. I don't know how many hampers you've got. I haven't gotten a whole lot. But so people... So
your hampers are coming, rest assured.
Well, but I'm still on the train. You know, but what we also need to tell
on the
our
trail,
people,
I'm sure.
Yeah, is patience is also important. And let us understand that in this time, there will be a few adjustments in terms of movement. People wanted to do parties, people want to
traffic
do,
power.
you know, with their families and friends. So we manage all. But the other thing is power. And power is not only
And believe me,
for
in my sector, which brings me to my last question, power, I mean, we have to keep a 24-hour channel going. And I travel all over the world, and people ask me about what are the challenges of working and running a TV channel in Nigeria. And I say power, and they're like,
what's
power?
that?
What's that?
What's your business with that?
But, you know, they're worrying about other things, but I'm busy worrying about having to run a facility outside of doing my day-to-day business, focusing on production and broadcast.
I can assure you, we have started conversation with them. See, we're going to box ourselves. They are my friends. I have had the opportunity of being involved in the privatization of PHC. There are problems in that sector. The funding, the structure, the legal framework, I know some of them. And we've started, they will tell you.
The conversations are ongoing.
See, if you cannot...
We are going to bring you back every year. Or maybe even every less than a year, because a year can be long. People are very impatient about when they want change. So we'll bring you back to look at quick wins. Then we'll bring you back to talk about the longer term stuff.
Medium to longer term, The quick fixes,
it's all about communication.
It is.
But last but not least, my industry will not forgive me if I don't ask. The entertainment sector. We have risen to the challenge of organizing ourselves. Be it music, be it fashion, be it film, be it television. We've done it without an enabling environment. We've done it without the support of government. And we're not coming to you begging, saying, please help us. But what are the things that you would like to see happen in our sector?
Okay, thank you. One of the things that I've said to some of your colleagues is that we will bring about ensuring that we have proper representation of your sector, of somebody that understands where the beats really fix and understand what the issues are. Let's bring them into our team on a permanent basis. You know, as a cabinet member or whatever. It's so critical to us that much. So we need to bring that skill in. So it won't be a wrong person trying to come and talk entertainment when they don't have.
When they don't even understand it.
It will be a professional that has been. So that way you have access. That way the person speaks the same language with you, right? So the other thing that will be lacking will be probably around infrastructure. And what do I mean by infrastructure? Maybe like a film village, or maybe you need a location where it's exclusive for that industry. And so we can talk around how do we raise the finance, who are the partners we need to talk about to bring that to bear.
And how do we monetize the sector?
Absolutely, because we know that you are one of the largest employers of labor.
Absolutely.
So for me,
I mean, look at here today. I mean, everybody here today is going to be paid.
I can imagine. So I know that sector is so critical.
Vital.
And it's something we can export if we package them very well. So we need to make Lagos even a tourism destination. An entertainment destination. In which, in some people's calendar, Lagos becomes a to-do list for them. And it's only when we give you the opportunity
to do that,
to sit with government.
That you can
what are the regulations you want us to have? What are the, because I see there's a low entry barrier, low ease of entry and exit. What processes can we put in place? Can we checkmate, people from just not doing anything and everything? So that will come about by speaking with professionals like you, by speaking with people who had worked it all like you, and ensuring that you continuously have access to us.
Absolutely.
So the promise I'm going to give, which I'm looking at the camera and saying, is that there will be a professional representative of your industry in our government who ensures that we're not just putting you at the back, you're right in front there in all of our critical
Wonderful. We are excited.
I am.
We are excited.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing with us. And we wish you the very, very best.
I certainly do need that.
May the best man win. And, let's see how it all happens and how it comes together.
Amen.
But thank you so much. So you have been watching a very special episode of Moments with Mo with the APC governorship candidate for Lagos State, BOS as he's fondly called, shedding light on his policies and the priorities. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, if you can think it, you can do it. Good night.